What's up, everyone? Welcome to the weekend hangout on the Essential Credentials. I am your co-host Matt, and I brought my buddy Tim, Red Wings fan 11, to come hang out, do some hosting with me. We're gonna have a really fun chat tonight before Jeremy's show starts. We don't want to be doing that at the same time, so I'm excited to pop over there and listen to the CEO of Upper Deck, the president, talk about stuff. But before that, Tim, how are you doing this weekend so far, man?
Not bad, not bad. It's been a good day so far. Had a lot of activities to do over the weekend, but this is the most fun of them all. So I'm ready to
Yeah,
get going.
right. I like hearing that for sure. And you've you haven't been on the roundtable or anything just because of schedules and whatnot. So we really haven't connected a whole lot, or you haven't really been on here since we did the interview back during the interview series. But you brought up an interesting, topic a couple weeks ago. I thought, man, this would be a perfect one to just kind of talk about with an overarching, uh, you know, topic throughout the whole conversation. Is just about like at some point we get to an end of the goal that we set in our collections, right? As a collector, whether you're collecting sports cards, whether you're collecting stamps or whatever, there's some kind of an end game or an end point, right? So
Mm-hmm.
you brought up the point of like, well, I'm starting to get towards the end of one of my collections, and what collection is that you're kind of getting to a point where you feel like you can put a button on it in essence?
Well, it's my Zetterberg collection.
That's right.
I have it on right now, and I have a pretty big deal coming in with, I think, sometime in a couple of weeks from a collector in Sweden, who
Right.
actually was the main inspiration for me to get into collecting back in 2011. He
Oh wow.
has the best Zetterberg collection in the world, and it wound up working where I reached out to him earlier within the year, and we've just been talking. And he has some heavy hitters, Zetterberg rookie one of ones, and pretty much all of them that I think exist or possibly can exist. And so I'm going to be getting those, and it's sort of like a bookend, to my Zetterberg collection. Yeah, there's a couple of smaller wants, but those are easily attainable. So
Right.
for me, in getting these one of ones, it's like I said, it's like a bookend, and it has a little bit of a finality to it,
Right.
because you can't get any better than that, you know.
That's true. I mean, that's like the pinnacle of any player
For
collector when
real.
you're passionate about collecting any one player. As our
Mhm.
buddy Kelvin knows, like he's all about the one on ones, and when you get to that point, you kind of feel like, okay, like I've reached the top of the mountain. So where
Yeah.
do I go now? Like, do
Hmm.
I start something? Do I make the mountain higher? Do I move on to Everest, or do I decide to go somewhere else? And Jeff, welcome as well. Jeff's such
Hey, Jeff.
an amazing guest. He's always here watching. So, but yeah, I mean, there is that is a question that many people I don't think don't think about. They don't think about, well, what do we do when when we get to that point of being like, oh man, like I'm done. Like I thought this was
Hmm.
going to go on forever. And
Yeah.
so what kind of went through your head? You know, like when you're getting like the ultimate cards for your collection. I know you pretty well, and I know you're not just gonna be like, well, Zetterberg collection's done in a box, put it away, and never look at it again. That's not how you roll. But what kinds of things have been going through your head as far as like, okay, like what am I gonna do now?
Hmm. So that definitely is a question I've been asking myself for quite a bit with this
Mm,
deal on the horizon. As far as Zetterberg in general, after this, it would just be to pick away at some of the low end cards to fill out like the 100% of rookie year deal, which was always my goal, right?
okay.
But because they're so low end, I don't have like this urgency or this how can I put it? It's I'm able to put it on the back burner, so like I know that I can attain that 100% with these heavy hitters out the way. So is my Zetterberg collection going to expand past the rookie year? I don't think so. Maybe I'll just pick up a card here and there that looks pleasing to me, because I'm always
All right.
about cards that look nice. Um,
That's a good point.
like for example, I picked up a 2013-14. What do I want to say? Fleer Ultra medallions out of 25. That looks
Oh,
beautiful.
Yeah, that's a
So
nice
maybe
one.
cars like that. But
Okay.
and even looking at my main PCs, like for example, Datsuk, that would be one that would propel me to keep on collecting. I have others like Kopitar, Rick Nash, Jason Spezza. Those are my main ones, and Sadine's. I'll throw it in there,
Right.
because that's a new venture for me. I'll always keep it collecting fresh because that's just how I roll. I'll always have a new goal or a new set to look into now. But
Right.
with regards to just Zetterberg, it's pretty much going to be coming to a halt, because I've always been a rookie year guy. That's
Right.
what I've been. So if I get all my Zetterberg rookies, it'll just be a sprinkle here, a sprinkle there of just miscellaneous cards with no real
What's
goal
keep
in mind.
Right. Well, and first of all, I think it's so important as collectors to have a goal for what you're doing. And we talked about this on Wednesday on the roundtable. Like, what is your direction? Like, what is your motivation for why you're spending the money on the cards you're buying? Are you trying to flip? Are you trying to just have cool stuff? Are you doing it aimlessly? Like, we all have some kind of a goal. Like Jeremy said, Jeremy talked about don't limit yourself too much. And I think you've done a pretty good job of making sure there's other avenues that you can go
Yeah.
down. I mean, here I'm talking to a guy that started buying basketball and
Yep.
football and I appreciate that because I think you, if I'm right here, you must have kind of thought like, oh man, like I'm going to get to a point in my Zetterberg collection where I'm going to have to pump the brakes and maybe not have anything coming in. What am I going to do? So were you motivated by that a little bit to kind of start these other, goals and other collections? Okay. So there is a connection with that then.
Yeah, because a lot of my collections like the sets I collect or the different cards I collect, they come from me hitting walls in previous PCs. So, for example, 2011, I got through 2012, Zetterberg and Datsuk were my main PCs. I got a decent amount of cards, and then there was a little bit of a wall that I hit.
Mm-hmm.
Then Kovalchuk came into the picture. I hit a wall. Then Rick Nash, Jason Spezza. And then 2013-14 with the dual rookie class. And, now I'm going to try my hand at prospecting. And I had names like Tomas Yurko, if you remember that. There was a lot of failures along the way,
Yeah.
but that's how I evolved. You hit a wall. How do I keep it fresh? What's new? What can I venture into? Like you said, I've been doing basketball, football, baseball. Those have been the majority of my pickups the past 3 months or so. I've been picking up more non-hockey stuff than hockey for the first time in my life.
Nice.
And that's been fun for me. It really has. Keeps
Yeah,
it fresh.
it is. It does, man. I'm right there with you. I just got done scanning. I have a processor when things come in, you scan it and then you get it on the website and you kind of put it away, maybe put it in the case or whatever. And I've been scanning and looking at eBay at Jefferson stuff. Well, I was, and now I'm hitting a waiting point of new sets need to hurry up and come out so I can have new stuff to chase. But I've been having more fun like looking at other sports too. Like the cards are so different. And it's obviously the companies are different. So the designers are different and the printing that they have access to is different. But I find it really fun to start looking. Oh, wow. And I know you do this too, right? You go like, I wonder how Zetterberg would look on that design, or I wonder how Fleury would look on this. Do you find yourself doing that when you're looking at the football and basketball cards?
100%. So one of the main sets that I've been collecting is Elite Status. They were Donruss Elite Status cards. Now they're Panini Elite. 2001 featured a great design for Donruss Elite Status. And in my head, I'm like, man, can you imagine? And especially being that I love jersey number, can you imagine? Like they have Datsuk Titanium 13 out of 13.
Yeah.
Can you imagine a Donruss Elite Status of Datsuk in his rookie year out of 13? That would have been awesome.
Yeah, it would have been a crazy card. That would be a crazy card right now.
Mm-hmm. So like those mashups I do think about sometimes, and I always think about custom cards in my head.
Mm-hmm.
Like doing those mashups.
I've got to bring up a picture then, since you're saying that. And I actually went on. I'm not a graphic designer. I wish I was. I wish I went to school and had some experience there. But and we've talked about these. But I think after seeing these for the first time and now having one in hand, I've had a lot of fun imagining what those would be like for hockey, what that would look like with
Yes.
Connor McDavid. What would that do in the market? What would obviously Marc-Andre Fleury, but any of the young talented players out there, what would that do and what would it look like? And I think that's the beauty of collecting other sports is it really gets your imagination going, like what ifs. And I know some people don't like living in that realm because it can get like, what's the point? It's never going to happen, but you never say never,
Yeah.
So I guess, that makes it's fun to be able to have all these different avenues because it doesn't get dry. The hobby doesn't get dry in that way. And I don't think any of us want to get to that point. Have you ever had that happen though? Like where you get to a point and it's kind of stale or just like, there's nothing really getting you excited. And that's why you've been like, okay, let's find another avenue here.
Yeah, I have. And that's just, I always get like the hobbies is ebbs and flows.
Oh
That's
yeah.
what it's always going to be. So when I go through a high, I go through my highs. When I go through the lows, it's like, okay, when I'm at a low, how do I get back up here? What do I have to do to
Right.
get back up there? And
Right.
then that's when I try to find things to keep things fresh.
What was the last thing? Because I'm trying to think to myself, like, what was the decision to collect Justin Jefferson? One of the best that I think I've made in the hobby. I've made some bad ones like Cujo, and then I was like, it just didn't stick, And then maybe I tried. Jocelyn Tebow was fun for about 4 or 5 months, and then I hit a wall. I was like, there's nothing left. Like there really isn't. I got all the big cards, and so what was the most recent, other than the basketball decision, like what was the most recent one that stuck for you that you have kind of gone down recently?
So you know that I do jersey numbered cards.
Oh, that's your thing, man.
Exactly.
That's your thing.
So keeping that in mind, I'm always trying to find new sets that feature possible dual jersey number. Like for example, Marc-Andre Fleury 29 out of 29. What sets are out there that features a Marc-Andre Fleury out of 29? So I recently discovered Synergy that they had jersey parallels.
That's right. They do.
So I've been looking for Synergy. I think they're purple parallels. So I've been doing those. I get a lot of influence actually from numerological serial thriller. He had a lot of great O-Pee-Chee Platinum jersey numbers, and this one isn't a dual jersey number, but I love Seismic Golds. So recently,
those are the best.
Yeah, exactly. So I've been trying to find jersey numbered Seismic Golds. And the players don't matter to me at this point. That's the fun part about doing this. It's not about the player, it's about the card itself. It's now about the design, or the jersey number aspect. And that part is fun for me, especially coming from a player collector, right?
Mm-hmm.
Everything was about the player. Now everything is about the card,
Do you like that better? Do you feel like it's a more what's the word I'm trying to look for here? Like it's more fulfilling to collect that way as opposed to just player collecting, or do you like to balance them both at the same time?
So fulfillment wise, I think player collecting, focusing on one player, is more fulfilling.
Okay.
Fun is the way I'm collecting now with just like so many different sets, because now it's pure freedom. There's no, you can go left, you can go right, you can go any set, any sport, any card,
Right.
So I think this new way that I've been doing things is more fun, but more fulfilling would definitely be player collecting, because it's like there's an overarching goal, a main parameter of what you feel like is 100%.
Right.
So with the way I've been collecting, there is no completion percentage, because I'm just buying whatever I see and whatever I like.
That's the way to go, right? I think you and Jeremy Lee, in essence, I know he obviously doesn't do the jersey number, but he is in that same boat, and that's a really freeing way to go about the hobby, is when you're not And so some people like it. I think for me, I know that my scattered brain can go. I could literally be buying anything right now. I could buy tons of Star Wars. I could buy tons of Final Fantasy. I could buy tons of baseball, basketball. I could really just go crazy if I wanted. So I think I have to keep myself within a set parameter of what I'm doing. But for you, it's nice that you can kind of do that, but also have the freedom to just be like, hey, this is cool. Let's just grab it. That's been really fun to follow too, as a, like, I don't want to say a fan of yours, but obviously a friend of yours, but somebody who enjoys your account. And by the way, Tim's photo game has drastically improved. You go back like a year, and poor Tim was like, I think I got a melon. There's something wrong with my phone, or a lemon. I got a terrible phone. It sucks. It doesn't take good pictures. And didn't you change your phone out, and all of a sudden your life changed or something?
Well, what I wound up doing is I wound up using like the perfect way to put it is like a light ring, for example.
Right. Okay.
Not a light box, but a light ring or some light fixture. I always try to take my pictures during the daytime, so with that sun exposure.
Oh yeah.
So it's just been tweaking little things here and there, trying out something new. But I'm still using the same phone. But if we're going back about a year and a half ago, before June of last year of 2022, that's before I got my iPhone. I was using this, I think, Samsung A7 or something like that. And that was the first phone that I used during my Instagram picture taking career or whatever, where if I would take a close-up picture, it would come up blurry.
Right.
So that in itself was
right, frustrating, I bet, huh?
Yeah.
Because we're always trying to capture the complete essence of our cards. And this happened to me the other day. This ever happened to you? So I'm sitting here with my phone. I'm looking at my color blast. I'm like, the sun's coming in. I'm like, man, that looks great. And I'm looking at it through my phone, and I'm like checking to the side. I'm like, wait a second, that looks way worse. Like, what's happening here? And that's where I was just talking to a friend today. I go, yeah, I think, I've had an iPhone 11 still, and everybody's like, wait, isn't it like the 14 now? Isn't that what's out? So I'm 3 phones behind, and in my mind, I'm like, man, this thing takes good pictures. But the other day, those color blasts are kind of subtle. They look amazing just in a scan, but the shine is very subtle. So you have to get it just right. And I got it just right in my eyes, and then I put my phone in the same spot, and it's like half as good. It's driving me crazy right now, So
yeah.
That's why I haven't posted any pictures yet on the new account, because I got a different light box that's got more of it's got pretty intense light, but the background is very soft. It's like a leathery background as opposed to those the mesh ones, Yeah. So hopefully I can get it exactly how in my mind I want it. But it's nice to see you be able to, especially with how much you like the shiny jersey numbered cards, you're able to kind of get the essence of the cards more. So yeah, good work, man. You've done really well as of late. Tell me because you're saying you're getting all these players. I'm looking through your account here, and I'm seeing guys that I know. Obviously, thank goodness we didn't both bid on that Sebastian Aho even more, because I would have made you spend way more money not knowing. Because I thought you had the other one, so I didn't realize, obviously, jersey numbered, but I didn't think – I don't even look for that like you do. But is there a player in any sport that you found yourself, like if I had to force you to do a small PC of them, that now that you've started spreading your wings a bit, like who's caught your attention?
Yeah. So I'm a 90s kid, right? I grew up loving Peyton Manning and the Colts.
Oh, yeah.
So I have my core group of guys, my core 4, what have you, Reggie Wayne, Edgerrin James, Marvin Harrison, Peyton Manning. And then I'll throw in, maybe a Jeff Saturday and, everybody else. But the first guy that actually did wind up sparking this new venture towards elite status is a weird name that you might not expect, but Alex Smith, 2005 quarterback, 49ers, and then Kansas City Chiefs.
Yeah, he has a pretty interesting story, right?
Yeah,
when he came back from being hurt really bad. Yeah.
So for him, he's pure nostalgia for me, because in 2005, I was 15. I come from playing football. I love being a quarterback. That's what I love to do. So that draft we had, Aaron Rodgers, Alex Smith. I remember watching the draft, trying to get opening packs of Sage Hit back then, and trying to get some Rodgers and Smith cards, which I did wind up getting. I wound up pulling some. But I was looking for jersey numbered Alex Smith cards, and then I came across the Elite Status 2005 Elite Status cards, and those were so beautiful.
Yeah.
And then I just started looking at other Elite Status, and then I've looked at other years, and I'm like, dude, I don't get this in hockey. I think I got to go for it, you know?
Right.
And so then me and Alex, one day we were looking at ComC, and then we were looking through all years together. He's finding things for me, dual jersey numbered. It's like $2-3. I pick it up, and then the next thing you know, in one day I have a small side PC already started.
Yep.
And then it just took on a life for its own.
If you need anybody on Instagram, that's an amazing person that will help you add to a side PC. Hit this guy up right here. Tim will, as soon as, because I considered the Canvas Young Guns, and you're like, look at this. I'm like, oh boy, I'm in trouble, you know. So yeah, it's a good thing I limited myself to Justin Jefferson case hits, because if I didn't, I would be in trouble, you know. But I have an actual question for you, and I'm curious what people in the chat think. Like, since I started collecting hockey, like in baseball, A-Rod was number 3, and you know, you're lucky. I think I had 2, but you're lucky if you're going to find one, because all the inserts in the 90s weren't numbered, and if they were rare, they were out of 100. So like, I'm not even thinking about that. Why do you think? Hey Frank, what's happening? Why do you think there has been such a rise in popularity of the jersey numbered? Because I feel like since I started collecting hockey and I got to know you and Alex and all those other guys, there's been a spike. Like with Justin Jefferson, one of his cards sold for about 2 times as much as the other parallel did out of 25, because it was 18 out of 25. And I'm like, why is it that important? I just want the card. So in your opinion, as you know, the connoisseur of jersey numbered cards, in essence, that at least to me, why do you feel that's gained such a huge popularity amongst collectors, even more now than before COVID?
That's an interesting question, because I would definitely say prices increased across the board. Right?
We know that one, right? It's starting to
a little bit,
yeah,
for sure. But in looking at just basic jersey numbered sales, I can still find a lot of cheap price jersey numbered cards. And it's funny that you're asking me this question, because I have a cousin of mine come up from Ohio. He loves Justin Jefferson, and I showed him
that's right.
your collection.
Yeah.
But he asked me, because I explained to him, hey, you know, I do jersey numbered, and he said, you know, does that add value to it? That was his first question from a person who does not collect cards.
Interesting.
That's a fair question. And for me, I mean, I don't think there's a set multiplier. I think it's really player based, right? So I think that the higher echelon a player is, the more their jersey number would factor into a multiplier. But for example, if I'm looking at an Anton Volchenkov jersey numbered rookie, I can get it for a couple bucks still. Right. I really think that when it comes to jersey numbered, it's always going to matter about the player, not so much the fact that it's jersey numbered in jersey.
Okay. And now, if you were to look at, you know, let's consider the top 5% of all the athletes in the 4 major sports. Okay, so you've got, you know, the Jeffersons and the Pat Mahomes and those guys, and Herbert and all those guys, and then you go into hockey. You've got McDavid. You know, you've got Draisaitl. You've got, you know, Matthews and your Marner. Named 2 guys on 2 teams there. Vasilevsky or whatever you want to say. So some of the top guys, Kucherov, and then you know, you go into the other 2 sports and Trout and all this, but like within them, would you say the multiplier is exactly the same? Because in my opinion, I'm like 2 times the value. I don't know. Do you think it's pretty straight across the board, or then is it still player specific once you get to that point?
I think that the general rule of thumb, regardless of the sport, is it's the echelon of players. So if we're taking, for example, an Austin Matthews, a Mike Trout, a Kevin Durant, or, you know, or something
Steph Curry.
like that. Or Steph Curry, you know, and then you have your Justin Herbert or your Joe Burrow. I think across the board along those sports, if we're going to put them on the same tier, they'll get the basic multiplier for that echelon of players. So I think it's the same
Mhm.
across the board of the all sports. But again, it always, for me, it comes back down to the type of player, the echelon of the player, the level, you know.
Right. Yeah, that is pretty interesting because for me, I think especially with the type of cards that I'm left to collect of Flurry, I have my want list, which I did cross one off yesterday. I'm so happy. ComC, way to go. The
Nice.
2009-10 Artifacts Spectrum out of 25. I finally found one. I was,
Wow.
he's in his blue jersey, the baby blue jersey, and my
Yeah.
favorite mask, and it just showed up for like $12. I was like, come on,
Buy
log
it
in.
now.
And there's that stinking captcha thing. I'm like, oh, somebody's going to grab it.
Yep.
But I was able to get that. But yeah, I find it funny. I don't ever really look for that because I just want to get the card. Like if I'm missing that card, I don't even pay attention to what the jersey number is. But I think it's really an interesting way of going about a PC because it doesn't limit you to any one or two players. You really have the freedom of going anywhere. And talk about learning about guys that have been out of the league for 20 years and 10 years
Yeah.
or whatever, and you can learn about their stories. I had that same experience putting the Young Guns goalie master set together. That was really fun for me. So I imagine along the same lines for you. I see Leland Irving. I'm like, wow, this guy's setup is kind of cool. I wonder who is this guy? And you go down that path and you learn about these different players that you're like, wow, this guy's story is cool. He played for Everett, where I grew up, and then he was a high draft pick, but he didn't really pan out. But he's such a great guy, and all this stuff. I never would have known about that had I not started that PC. So it's kind of cool that you get to experience that. I'm sure you're going to discover more and more along the way.
Yeah. I'm learning every day, and what I love about it most is that I get introduced to different sets across all sports that I would have never known otherwise. Leaf had some beautiful looking cards back in the days that I completely forgot about across football and some baseball.
Right.
Like those golden monikers.
Oh, dude,
My
those are so
goodness,
nice.
they're beautiful cards. And if I just stuck to hockey, I would never have access to that. And it's funny too, another thing that I wanted to bring up that I just thought about, this new form of collecting brought new emotions that I never really thought I could feel about these cards because, being that I'm always looking for a dual jersey number, like for example, I came across a Jason Kendall from baseball from the Oakland A's.
Oh yeah, the catcher with no batting gloves. Yep, I remember him.
There you go. Exactly. I saw a dual jersey numbered elite status card 2-3 weeks ago. I can't buy everything, but I have my eye on it. And I think it's 18 out of 18, and somebody bought it. And for the first time, I got myself disappointed for losing a Jason Kendall card.
That's funny.
I'm feeling this right now. This is not how it's supposed to work.
Right.
So this new form of collecting has definitely brought on a lot of new perspectives. It's been 100% fun.
That's good.
But different emotions evolved, and it's been an education too.
Right. Well, that's cool though. I mean, again, think about all these different experiences that you're having just because you started a different type of collection. I mean, within the realm of what you already like, but it is a lot of fun collecting multiple sports. I have talked to Kelvin about this, Jeff. I don't know if you do this or Frank, but just it exposes you to so much more, let alone the designs of all these cards, and you can go all the way back to a numbered insert start if you want. I mean, but it really is fun to see and compare and contrast. You got designs for baseball and hockey and football and basketball, and even within Panini, there's some variation. But then Upper Deck is, of course, going to be in its own realm way over here on this side. So you're going to have some differentiation that way. It's really, I recommend it to so many people if you can afford it. Obviously, if you're in a pretty tight budget and you like Braden Point, for instance, well, then you should only collect Braden Point. Don't start venturing out, as hard as that may be. Stick to, the player that you love. But I think the one thing that we have to be careful of is you're not dumping so much money into the side PCs if you're still going strong. Like if your Zetterberg PC was still going strong and you expanded it into his entire playing career, you wouldn't be able to do any of this other stuff because you wouldn't have money for those big cards when they popped up. So that is a big thing that I'm always considering. I'm always thinking like, okay, are these color blasts going to jeopardize this, once in a lifetime flurry card.
Yeah.
And I think I start asking myself, like, okay, would I get rid of some of these to get a flurry? I would probably have to say yes, because most of the Jeffersons come back around. None of them are 1-on-1s. They're all case hits, but there's probably 50 to 75 of them in existence. So it's nice to have some flexibility, but yeah, I guess the point I'm saying is, like, make sure you're taking account of everything you got going on, because you can back yourself into a corner, right?
Mm-hmm. No, absolutely. And I was talking with Alex a couple of days ago or last week, and I got to thinking, what are the remaining heavy hitter cards that I still have on the list that are from my main PCs within hockey? And the list is few. I mean, it's an expensive list for sure, but the volume on that list, maybe 15 or less.
That's
and
good.
everything else is just come as it may at this point. I'll give you an example of one of my quote unquote main PCs is Kopitar, and that is the slowest progressed PC I have because nothing new pops up. I think all the big stuff are already locked in player collections. Like, there's one guy on Blowout who collects him hardcore, and he has a lot of the main ones. And then we had one of the original Kopitar collectors on Hobby Insider, the Grice Boys. They've sold off some of their heavier stuff, but they still have, some of the biggest Kopitar cards still sitting in their collections. And, I'm not really counting that anymore as far as the cards remaining from Kopitar. So that really leaves Rick Nash and Jason Spezza for me, and Pavel Datsyuk. And those, the want list is just so few. So now I've come to the point where it's like that side PC that we're talking about with basketball, football, and baseball, and dual jersey number this and that. That's pretty much this. It was a side PC. Now it's my main.
The
focus,
main one,
right? To be honest with you.
Yeah.
Like, it's funny how that's come about, and how I've been in the collecting business for 12, all my life, but hardcore since 2011, and now this is my new version of collecting. This is my main mode now.
Right. But you found, which I think is important for everybody to always be evaluating, you found an avenue of collecting that brings you the most happiness, makes you feel fulfilled and content with what you're doing. And we are spending money for, and Jeremy said this too, like assets, right? We are spending money in essence for assets, but he made such a good point the other day that was profound to me. He was talking about, and we all feel this way, but so it's kind of repeating it, but like he was just talking about, you are paying to own this card for however long you want it and to enjoy it, and when you stop enjoying it, then you can move on from it and get what you can from it. But I just think to myself, and I know you do too, like, especially as of late, like, turn around and just look at your cards. You look at the cards that are on your bed right now and you go, man, this is cool. Like you're doing it for the right reasons and you're doing it the right way. And that's very affirming as a collector, because I think we've all felt this at some point where you are like, boy, I kind of feel like I'm wandering aimlessly right now. Like I don't really have any goals, or I don't feel like I'm fulfilling anything. And that's a very scary place to be, because you're always looking for that next hit of adrenaline, but it's not coming from the right place, So I guess a good question for you would be this. Because I always come at it from an educational standpoint, in a way, like somebody's going to stumble upon this with their kid and think like, oh, maybe we can learn something. What piece of advice would you give to somebody who gets where they hit that wall, where they're either they are bored of the person they're collecting or the cards they're collecting? Like, how would you go about reevaluating that and trying to find something new and exciting to collect?
Well, I would just always start back to what are your interests, because for me, I love hockey. Hockey's my number one. But if I'm hitting a wall with hockey like I was doing, I know that I love all other sports to a degree. It's not like I watch every basketball game. I have NHL, like, where I could watch all the NHL games, but I don't do that for baseball. I don't do that for basketball or football.
Right.
But I have love for those sports. You have like love for Final Fantasy. Kelvin does Pokemon. I do, Pokemon too. Sometimes Alex does that.
Right.
I'm I'm not going to say unique because I'm really not, but I'm a person individually who has so many interests. You know, so if I'm struggling with hockey, I'll get my fix somewhere else. You know, and I have many avenues for that. You know, but I would say take a step back, evaluate which stuff you like. If you want to collect, just go for it. You know, another thing is, for example, if I had stopped collecting cards for right, what else would I collect? I love toys. I love video games. You know,
Right.
I always joke around and say to Alex or you know somebody else that in 2011 there's an alternate universe where I was actually considering being either a video game collector, a toy collector, or a card collector. I wound up choosing cards because I loved hockey and it's basically a space saver. I live in New York City, in a New York City apartment. You know, I can get a great collection of cards, thousands of cards, and fit it under a nice spot. But I can't do that with video games. I can't do that with toys. I used to collect sneakers. Can't do that with sneakers. But all of that's to say is if you have another area of interest, pursue it. Educate yourself, look at some forums, go on Facebook, join some groups, you know, see what's out there, you know, educate yourself, and you find something that grabs your attention, hey, go for it, you know?
Right. That's something that I've been discovering as of late too. When I created that new account that I'm going to start posting Monday when my photo stuff gets here, I've started really taking interest in, again, you said Final Fantasy, but that kind of opened the door. I was talking to Justin Malden, and he showed me some Batman cards, and like, ooh, you know, and Marvel cards, and you know, you got cards from Zelda, you got cards from Star Wars. Obviously, Star Wars has a lot of really cool stuff out there. That's probably my biggest nerd area as far as watching movies is all those Star Wars series and movies and whatnot. But you're like, wow, there's cards that have this moment on there that was just amazing to me as a kid. So I really started to dig into like the nostalgic side even more when it comes to my other interests. And but I think one thing that you don't do, which I find that's fascinating, I'd be curious if this ever happens, is when you find an athlete that's currently playing, who's getting cards made of them, that it's like extra exciting when they do really well, because when they do well, you know they're going to get more cool cards. You know, and I think it's kind of weird to have that thought, because I remember when I started collecting Glass now, he'd have like 2 bad games in a row and I'd be like, oh man, he's not going to make it any good sets. And then he made it to the World Series, and it was kind of like, okay, he's gonna get some love here. But it definitely, that is also really fun too. So there's a couple of channels on YouTube that I watch where like a father and son collect, and the son will be like, oh yeah, I got Jacob deGrom, I love watching this guy play. And so it's definitely another thing to look at too. If you're kind of stuck in the mud and you're like, okay, what do I do next? Go find an athlete or go find something that really gets you excited. And there's pretty much cards for everything now. Like I swear I was just on Instagram today and I saw these rare Pixar cards, and there's like a Toy Story card that is worth like $150. I'm like, what is going on here? But there's cards for everything. Now, what's the craziest card you've ever seen? Like a card of something and you're like, no way, I can't believe this.
Well, I mean, I'm always looking at box breaks on YouTube, and similar to how you were saying the Pixar cards, I think there was like Disney 100th anniversary or something like that, and I think this card is called like a Steamboat Mickey Mouse card or something like that. It's supposed to be really valuable. It had some decent artwork to it, but I never figured in my life that I would see Disney cards, you know, pick up as they have, because they're on a roll with that.
I had no idea, and it was like a gold, and it said SSP on it, and I'm like, that is a cool card. Like, it doesn't do anything for me, and if it was like $10, I might be like, oh, that's really cool. That would be a fun one to have. Tyler, what's going on? What's up, dude? Tyler, we're just kind of talking a little bit about, like, you know, when you're collecting one player or one set or something, and you hit a wall, like, how do you redirect yourself to stay interested in the hobby? So, but yeah, it's just nuts, man. There's just so much out there. You really can't run out of things to collect. Like if you run out of things to collect, you are not opening yourself up enough to find another thing to be interested in. Again, there's so many Star Wars fans. Imagine, I don't even think half of them know that there's so many cool cards out there. And I mean, there's a really cool account on Instagram. I don't know if you are interested in Star Wars at all. I think it's Star Wars Card Crazy. This guy, he has the ultimate man cave. That's all I'm going to say. Let me show you his account here. But like he posts all these great unique videos, but his entire man cave is just a bunch of curio cabinets. So
I love that.
Like, it's absolutely. I mean, look at this. Like, who would not love to have that room as a collector?
Oh, wow.
So he's
amazing.
but just like seeing all the, like, he opened my eyes to just seeing how many different kinds of cool cards there are in, whether it's Star Wars or anything else you're interested in. So I think there's just so many avenues to go down. Oh yeah, and this is something that's, I don't know if you follow the Tyler. He's a big Drummond collector, but that's the thing. Drummond's not going to keep getting cards forever, and I'm in that phase with Marc-Andre Fleury. He's got one more year left. We're all pretty much aware of that. Maybe if he gets to Pittsburgh or something, he might play another year, but who knows? But I'm starting to think, just while we're talking today, like, I know that there's an end to that collection, or at least there's going to have to be like a stopping point where he doesn't get any cards for like 3 years. And so what am I going to do? And rather than force myself to collect another player in hockey, to like, oh, Dustin Wolf would be fun, but why? Like, what is it about him? Just because? Then it's not the right reasons, So that's why I like looking at the Star Wars cards, and obviously Justin Jefferson and Glass now. Like, I know that I'm going to have plenty of options, so I'm not stressing about what am I going to do when this other PC ends. But I think it's something some people sneaks up on them. It really does sneak up on us, like with the Zetterberg thing. And it's good that you have all these other avenues to go down, man. I mean, what do you think? What do you think would persuade you to open up your Zetterberg collection to, like, maybe second year stuff or patch autos or something like that?
It's funny that you say that, because in the big Zetterberg deal that I do have some second year cards coming in. It's because they're jerseys. Let me just put that.
Of course not. Of course they are.
But I think at this point, I don't mind to add any year as long as the card looks nice, and it has to look nice.
Right.
I try to think about, like, Frozen in Time artifacts. I think it's artifact Frozen in Time cards.
Those are nice.
Glass, they're like plexiglass type.
I think it's trilogy Frozen in Time, right? Yeah.
Like, those cards I love. Maybe I'll add that. It's cheap. It looks nice. Trying to go through the years, but as far as like creating a list of cards, expanding beyond the rookie years and having a want list, I don't think that would ever happen for me, to be honest.
Okay.
I do everything, but I don't do that.
That's good, though. And it's kind of a test for you too, right? It's a test of willpower, because I think if somebody gave you $5 million, then you might consider, because, like, oh, okay, well, now I'm not limited by money, which is a good limiter for us, because it makes us stay true to what we're really collecting for what we love, as opposed to just doing it to do it. And I have a couple friends who've done that, and they buy all this cool stuff because they get this extra money, and then they just sell half of it or all of it because it doesn't do anything for them. And I think you and I are in the same boat. I want every single card that comes to my mailbox, that comes out of the package, to be meaningful in some way. And anything that's sitting behind me under my bed in boxes that's not, I need to not own it anymore. Whether it means giving it away, whether it means finding somebody who will find it meaningful. But it's just, I went through a phase when I learned about hockey where I was like, oh, these are cool. I'm going to buy these goalie cards and buy these. And I haven't looked at any of them now for months. And so I need everything to be meaningful. I got a Star Wars card in of Luke Skywalker, and that's so meaningful for me because it was cheap, first of all, but it looks amazing. And it reminds me of the first time I saw that movie, and then going again with my grandparents when it re-released. Like, there's all these memories tied to that one card. And so you find yourself saying the same thing, like each one needs to be meaningful to add it.
And I'm happy you actually brought that up, because the jersey number aspect fulfills that for me, because there's only one jersey number, eBay 1 of 1.
Dang it, I was going to say, are you going to say it?
I mean, I'm happy I don't sell my cards, but I just jokingly say that. But for me, these are one-on-ones for me, right?
Right.
And so, I'll throw this one out here. Nobody would ever really care about it, and it's dinged up beyond belief. I bought it for $1.50 with a eBay padded white envelope. Who is this? Alexander Frolov. Nobody cares about Alexander Frolov anymore. But here I have a jersey numbered rookie of Alexander Frolov.
That's pretty
Okay.
sweet, man.
And it matters to me, like it wouldn't
Right.
matter to anybody else but me. And I like that.
Right.
Kelvin's got me a lot of great stuff, but one that sticks out to me is this one, and I sort of posted it on Instagram, and I gave a little story behind it. Here I have a Harry Pessinen jersey number titanium rookie card.
Never heard of him before. That's awesome.
See, there you go. And
Right.
This is a card that would be in a bin for this 2013-14. It's already
Right.
been 10 years. And as much as I would, it sounds a little harsh to say, but nobody cares about Harry Pessinen in 2013-14 in America, at least. Maybe
Right.
some guy in Finland collects him. I don't know. But that's
Right.
a card that's been in a bin for God knows how long. Logan
Right.
is at a show where he lives at, somewhere in the Midwest. I'm not going to give the exact state, but, somewhere in the Midwest.
Yeah.
And he finds it in a random bin.
That's
That
cool.
card means something to me. You know what I mean?
Right.
And so that's what I love about it.
Well, and that you just opened up a whole nother bag there that we will definitely get to. But I do want to say a couple of things. Tyler said, I love the Wings. Hockey isn't my favorite sport, but I wish the Wings would rebound some. They're on the rebound.
Yeah.
They are on the rebound. I say 1 or 2 more years, they'll be in the playoffs and they're going to be making noise. I've said that since 2 years ago. I just feel like they're going in the right direction. So stay tuned for that.
Yeah.
Baz, what's happening, dude? Thanks for making it.
Yeah.
Nice logo. I know Tim will like that. We don't talk about the Yankees much because, for obvious reasons, on my part, being a Mariners fan. And then this is for you, Tim. So I'll let you go for it. I mean, I think we know what number 1 is, but after that, I'm curious to see where you go.
Well, I mean, this is a great question, and for me, it's about my generation that I lived, right, and that I experienced. So
one of the best teams of all time, man.
I know.
Lucky guy.
So I would definitely go, for me, it's Zetterberg number 1, Zatsuk number 2, Yzerman. I call Yzerman on the tail end of his career.
Okay.
Because he retired in 2005, 2006. Mm-hmm. I really started watching hockey as dedicated as I could during the Avalanche and Red Wings rivalry. But that's when I can catch it on ESPN. They're not going to televise every game in New York on ESPN every day.
Right.
So Yzerman would be 3 for me, but he has so many memorable moments. I love that double overtime against the Blues, that overtime goal. Like,
poor John Casey. Poor John Casey.
Yeah. That was a laser. Like, look at the angle of the shot when it's coming towards you, that camera angle. It was an absolute laser. Yeah. It wasn't a wobbly puck. It was perfect, had perfect spin and everything like that. Top corner, bar down. Like, I could watch that and still feel like it's the first time watching it.
Beautiful goal.
Sergei Fedorov, what a talent he was. An electric talent. I love my Russians. And then I would have to go. I would go Gordy.
Gordie Howe.
Yeah, because I have to give him that appreciation. Because even though I never got a chance to watch him, of course, you watch clips and he was just a different breed back then. Mm-hmm. And you have to give the man his props, playing into such a late age, built like a tank. They don't make them like that no more. Men aren't built like that. That's our grandfather's generation. You see it. Right. It's just a different type of build. That Bobby Hull, that Gordie Howe.
The first one I thought of.
Right.
The game
So
is
those would
definitely
be my
played
top.
different. I wonder how he would fit in nowadays. Somebody asked that question the other day. How would Gretzky fit in now? I think you adapt to play in
Yeah,
whatever game you're in, but he wouldn't look the same. Gordie Howe, he would be built differently. He would be more lean, and he would move like they move now. So, and Wayne
yeah.
was already that way. He might bulk up a little, but I think
Mhm.
they'd fit in great. Those are all great answers. I do want to add to this. Who's your favorite Red Wings goalie? Would it be Osgood?
Hasek.
Hasek?
I
Okay.
mean, Hasek had so many great years in Buffalo. We know that.
Mhm.
Ozzy bought us some. Ozzy bought us a cup. A few cups. You have to give him that respect. But Hasek with the playing style, no matter what jersey he wore, but the fact that he wore a Red Wings jersey and he played the way he did, I'm gonna go Hasek.
And you guys had Hasek and Cujo at the same time on the same
Yeah.
team. I know they were at the tail end of their careers, but that'd be like taking if Carey Price was healthy, like taking Carey Price and Marc-Andre Fleury and sticking them on the same team. What a blessing that would be as a coach. Like, all right, you guys are just going to split every start, and nobody's going to argue. Just you're in this day, you're in this day, off you go. Like nowadays, I know it was very controversial back then because Cujo thought he was coming there to start every game,
Yeah.
and Dominic Hasek. But nowadays, with the way that they play goalies, man, it would be really fascinating to see how that would go down if the two of them were playing and they both went to the same team. I think it would be a lot different. I think they would probably split starts like most of the teams are doing nowadays.
Yeah, exactly. Who's your 1A, who's your 1B, but they're both ones.
Yeah.
I
mean, it's a luxury to have nowadays because of the way that the game is played. So that's why I'm pretty confident we're not going to see any goalies win 500 games ever again. I mean, we've got 3, and I obviously know who one of them is. I collect one of them, but they all are just played so much more back in the day, and longevity as well. I don't think we're going to see anybody get close to 500 again. I know Vasilevsky plays a lot, but even then he could get hurt, or he could start getting older and start splitting starts. So. Yeah, what all those guys, Hasek, I'm surprised he never made it there. I think he'd have played a couple more years, right? He would have had a good shot at it. But I got a question for Ty if he's still in here. Tyler, you said this, but you said your Drummond PC is kind of buttoned up. Oh, he actually answered this too. Nice. Iserman, Fedorov, Lidstrom, Datsuk, Shanahan for me, but also love Zetter, Hasek, McCarty, Draper, and Chelios. Yes. All great choices. And of course, some of these guys I learned to despise because they were trying to score on Marc-Andre. So I loved when he stopped Lidstrom, but at the same time, a lot of these guys got the best of him at some point in their careers. And man, those are some good times. The late early 2000s, right? Those are some beautiful battles between our two teams.
Exactly.
They were wonderful. So Tyler, I'm curious, and this is for anybody here. So anybody that's here watching live, we got 4 people right now. Again, we talked about hitting a wall. So like, tell us your like 2 or 3 of your side PCs that you're currently enjoying right now. It'd be neat to see what people say because I think it's going to be so different, whether it's within the same sport or not. But one thing you brought up that we talked about this in your interview, but you were just listening to you describe that goal of Iserman. Part of me is surprised you don't collect them more because those moments imprint on you. And I know he's expensive, and that's probably part of the reason why
That's
it
the
may
main
be
thing.
tough. Is it because of the money that you'd have to spend? Yeah, I don't blame you. There's a few athletes out there. I'm like, oh, D Wade is fairly cheap, but like Kobe Bryant, oh man, his cards look amazing. But I would never. All of us would love to collect Kobe, but that's not going to happen. So, but there's these different memories of athletes that really solidify them as our PC guys. So watching, which is great because on the back of one of my cards, it talks about this. Jefferson and his Thanksgiving performance against the Patriots this early or late last year. I'd already been liking him and I'd started grabbing a few cards, but when that game happened, that's when I knew for sure, like, this is going to be a dedicated PC of mine because they just do stuff and you're like, no way. Like I'm seeing something I've never seen before. And so that's what did it for me. And you talked about that on your interview, right? With Kopitar, you saw him do stuff and you're like, oh man, this is the guy.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's something I think a lot of people have happen when you find out why they collect what they collect or a player. There's some kind of a moment that just imprints, that makes it solidified. what they're gonna do. But as far as the jersey number stuff goes, man, I'm really curious to see how that continues to evolve for you, and hopefully I can find something for you at the national. You know, I'm definitely not going to be digging through boxes as much, but I know when I find an elite status or a titanium that I want to find you the Leland Irving 29 out of 29 or not.
Oh, that would be awesome.
27 out of 27 so bad. Like I think I own 3 of them thinking that I would get lucky or whatever, but yeah, dude, that would be sick. But hopefully I can find you something because I think it's just it's kind of an endless PC, right?
It is. Yeah.
Are you still set in those sets, or are you thinking eventually like you're going to start like maybe I'll find another set that looks nice? What do you think?
So I pretty much did a good amount of research, and I have so many eBay saved searches for all these sets.
How many? How many do you have?
We're talking. I'm pretty sure I have 100 saved searches.
Good for you.
Out of those 100 saved searches, I'm pretty sure like 30 to 40 are sets.
Okay.
You
know? Nice.
But as far as the ones that really, really speak to me, that I have like a burning desire to find, and I search every day, it will always be elite status. It will always be titanium. I'm still doing my synergy, but it's really like my main burning desires, I think, will always be those 2, elite status and titanium.
Right.
I'd love to put maybe Leaf into it, but as much as I love those mid 2000 Leaf sets, because a lot of them do have like jersey number features, and when I'm looking at all of them in my head, it's just those 2. Those 2 really speak to me the most. Like, because it looks so beautiful. And
right.
For example, one that they do in hockey is SP Game Used. SP Game Used has a jersey number parallel. I could care less about it.
There's nothing special
is so bland to me. You know, even the versions or the years where they do the autograph, like if it's a Marc-Andre Fleury 29 out of 29, it would be autographed.
The 101, yeah.
Spice it up a little bit. But even that doesn't do it for me.
It's a sticker auto, you know, and they have a time and a place. I get it. They have a time and a place. I don't blame them from doing it. It's easier. I get it. But make the like non-auto jersey numbers like super shiny, like really make them pop, you know?
Exactly.
I know it's. I try not to go down the like. If I was working there, here's what I would do, because again, I think Upper Deck probably wants to do more of that, but again, they are so limited because they don't have the access to the printing that Panini does, where Panini could do that easily. So, you know, we just got to kind of take what we can get when it comes to that. So Tyler said, oh yeah, the Pujols PC, that'll keep you busy. And yeah, Tyler, could you do me a favor, Tyler, and put your Stadium Club account in the comments? I love Stadium Club, man. They got some of the best photography in the game. Like Tyler Glasnow's got some amazing cards in those sets. The pictures
all these things that Tyler's talking about right now, I love them all. Stadium Club Topps Heritage is one of my favorite non-hockey sets of all time. I used to buy so much Topps Heritage of any sport back in the day when I was a young kid.
Nice.
Pujols, how could you not love Pujols? One of the greatest home run hitters of all time. Footballs in the 90s and 2000s, that's my jam too. So everything that Tyler's talking about, I love it.
And Tyler too is like you with the jersey number. He's setting parameters, but these parameters are it's a very wide range of cards that you can be going for. And it's nice to know that, okay, I'm really not feeling the jersey number right now, so I'm going to go grab this Zetterberg and this Datsyuk. Okay, now I'm going to back off that. Let's go back to jersey number. You don't have to always be completely focused on one of your PCs always. You got to have variety. What was the title? You remember the title of our interview?
Yeah, variety is the spice of life.
It's true, man. I mean, there's certain things you don't want variety in, right? Like, but when it comes to having hobbies, yeah, I mean, if you're into, you know, going on vacations or like going and exploring new places, you don't keep going to the same place. You go somewhere new every time, something different, and then maybe you go back and rehash it. So it's Yeah, I completely agree, and I think those are great choices from both you guys. And he said also always adding to my Pistons, Chiefs, Lions, Tigers. Oh, Kelvin will like that. In Atlanta, I'm looking and Braves. I mean, yeah, that when you're around teams that are doing well, especially
Yep.
like if the Mariners were the best team in baseball, I'd be like, which player, do I? There's a couple on the team that I like, but right now they're really struggling, so it's kind of sad.
I do have a question that you brought up Mariners. Have you ever
Yeah.
thought about like collecting Ichiro or Griffey or those
I
big
had
guys back in the days?
Yeah, it's funny. Joey Cora was always my favorite, and so I have his toughest parallel, as far as I know, is a Super Rave from '98. I love that card to death. I will never sell it. And I also have his metal base card that I pulled with my father when I was, how old was I? I've been 96, 11 years old, and we high-fived each other and in a hotel room in Alaska. So yeah, I mean those are always going to mean a lot. But I had a few Ichiro rookie cards. Actually, probably I think I had like 75% of all of his true rookies, maybe 80%. And then that's when the Tebow stuff came along, and I knew it was time I needed money from somewhere, and his market had almost doubled by the time I got all the cards, and so it was very easy to move them. I do miss them, but yeah, and Mike Cameron or Brett Boone, I almost started, but it just didn't do enough for me to keep going, and so that's why I've never. And then of course Julio Rodriguez, everybody loves him, but he's after the rookie season he had, I think everybody and their brother and sister and child wants to collect Julio, and everybody else in between. I think it's not reasonable to do that. So great question, but yeah, I know Griffey too. Like if I had endless money, who wouldn't want to go grab some sweet Griffey inserts or Jordan or
of course,
any of that stuff. But and this is a great one. I've been a funny story to share here. Kelvin finally got a scanner that can scan for real, and he scanned some of his. He scanned like his Nebula 101 mosaic. He's like, dude, this thing looks amazing. I'm like, I've been trying to tell you, man, but. This is the Asian baseball PC that he's got going is the same thing as your jersey number, Tim. Like he can grab as many as he wants, or he can stick to one set. He can stick to one player. I mean, it's so nice to have choices in this hobby. And then Tim, I mean, you see 08 or 708 O-Pee-Chee Premier Remnants, and you have the picture in your mind. Do you have a Kopitar from that at all?
From 07, 08, no, I don't.
08, 09 you do, right?
No, I don't think I have any O-Pee-Chee Premier remnants.
What am I thinking of? In the group chat, somebody was. I must be thinking of Kelvin because there's somebody who has grabbed a few of them. But wow, those are some beautiful cards. And then the Heritage Chrome Black Refractors. Yeah, those are beautiful cards.
Yeah.
Those are beautiful, beautiful cards. We're talking about baseball, and then Tim, you have a bit of a surprise, right, for the people watching, which is going to be fun to see. I have to share one baseball card that came in, but funny enough, before I share that, I just scanned it, and I just realized that I didn't do my typical editing of the card that I should be doing to really make the scan look nice. But have you heard of Tier 1 at all? Topps Tier 1?
Not really. I'm not gonna lie. I haven't.
Well, one thing that they do that's really cool, if I can try to paint a mental picture here, and then I will show you the card. I'm almost done cropping it here. Is they do this autograph set, and we collect autographs of our players, right? And on card is the way to go. I think we can all agree on that. That is by far the way to go. But what they do in this set is there are parallels, and the parallels they have different ink and they're numbered lower, and and the background changes to make it look nicer. I mean, I love it. So it's kind of like SP Authentic with the black gold autos out of 5 of the same card, very similar to that. Okay. But I've been chasing this glass now for almost 2 years since it came out, and I got one popped up finally, as they do. And I was able to grab it. So let me pull this up. And it's so great to see him back, too, and healthy. You know what I mean? When you're a fan of a player who continually gets hurt, it's demoralizing when it continues to happen because you know how badly they want it and how badly you want to see them. right?
Yeah,
So,
I've been through that with a couple of my players. I know 100%.
all right, so that does ring a bell then. All right, so this is the base auto, and what a
Oh,
beautiful card, right?
no,
I mean,
absolutely. And I know that
nice.
the scanner doesn't give that foil its justice too. It's a beautiful scan, but I can imagine like in my face, the foil
Hmm.
and things like that. Yeah, it's a beautiful card.
And good, lots of room for the autographs. So there's
Exactly.
the version out of 300, and I bought a redemption. So this was a redemption. They all were,
Okay.
and there was a couple of the redemptions for the bronzes on eBay, and they went for a lot of money. And I think it's more gold, if I'm being honest. But finally came around and got one. I told the guy on eBay how pumped I was, and so here it is.
Dude.
Yeah, man,
And
that's
what's that
nice.
number two?
25.
25.
So I believe there's a silver out of 10 also. And then there might be a 101, not 100% sure. Yeah, thanks, Tyler. And so, it's just so fulfilling. Again, we've had this happen, whether it's with a set or whether it's with a player or card that you're looking for. When it 2, 3, 4 years down the road, you get a card you've been looking for, like the Sedin card. I know that one was a huge one for you,
It's sitting
right?
right here right now, but yeah.
How long did it take you to find that? By the way, the dual jersey.
I would say I started intently looking for Sedin stuff after the National or during the National of Atlantic City last year.
Okay, gotcha.
I picked up some two rares Sedins at that time. So we're talking about from August of 2022 till maybe 2 months ago. So
Okay.
maybe a half a year or 3/4 of a year.
Right. Well, it's still really fulfilling, man. When you
Yeah.
put a card on the want list and your friends are stepping up to help you out. You mentioned Logan
Mhm.
sending you that one card, and that can't be talked about enough. Because this hobby, again, I told this to a friend of mine just yesterday. I said, without the connections that we're having, that we
Yeah.
have with each other, the friendships, I don't think this hobby's worth anything. What's the point?
Mhm.
You know what I mean? Unless you're narcissistic and you want to just look at all your awesome cards and tell yourself how awesome you are. That's fine if that's what you want to do, but I don't think any of us are doing it for that reason. And
Yeah.
man, it's so cool to help a friend get a card.
Yep.
I talked about that on the Roundtable Wednesday. That is one of the best feelings when a buddy's been looking for a card for years or months or whatever, and you find it, help them find it and add it. It's like that's just as fun as adding a card for yourself. So yeah, I'm really glad you were able to get that. Well, Tim here is gonna do a little pack breaking for us. He got some packs at the hobby shop, and so we're gonna wrap up our show with some cards we don't know that existed until today. So let's see what's up, man. What'd you end up buying there, pack wise?
So I want to buy 2 Final Fantasy packs with you in mind.
Thank you for that.
I bought 2 packs of 2022-23 Series 1.
Okay.
So I will let you do the honors of choosing which one you want to do first. You want to go Final Fantasy first, or you want to do hockey first?
Let's do hockey because last time Tim opened a pack on a show, he pulled a Spencer Knight Young Guns canvas, which then made me go buy one. Tim has that effect on me, so he's probably going to pull like an incredible card right now. I'm just throwing that out there.
All right. So what do we have here? We have Jared McCann, base.
One of my dad's favorite players now on the Kraken. Great.
Jacob Truba, who is a Swayman or nope, Mark.
Vezina winner, about to be.
Yep. And we have here Thatcher Demko.
There you go, buddy. I mean, it's not an expensive card, but you can't.
I thought it was a base card. Dude, this is the first Connor McDavid non-base card I've ever pulled.
Look at that. Hold that a little bit closer so we can see it. What a great card, bud. That's great.
Wow.
Awesome. If you're going to get a canvas base card, that is the guy to get.
Exactly. And I got an Ovi to go along with it.
Oh, wow.
A Gensel and a Brendan Hagel.
That was a pretty good pack. If you're talking about just, we're not, again, you don't do this for value. We know that, and I love that. If we're talking about that pack as a kid, you are stoked. You got the Vezina winner, you got the MVP of the league, and you've got an Ovi who is still killing it. That was a great pack. Good work.
Oh, I see one guy over here in the back that one of our buddies would like. So who?
Okay.
This is Shea Theodore. Let's see. Anthony Cirelli.
Okay.
All right. And we have here? Artem Zub. Oh, what we got here?
That is a beautiful card. Look at that.
And Thomas Shabbat. Defense mechanism. This is actually really nice.
I think that might be like one of the tougher ones to pull. Anybody that knows the odds on these, I'm going to go look this up. I don't think those are easy, Tim.
Yeah. All right. So look at that. 2 packs, 2 good cards. I will take that.
Hey, man. Woo.
I like the way it shines in the light and everything like that. See,
that's a beauty. That is
it comes down how things look, how the cards look. You know, it's very important for me.
Right.
So here we have Niels Holdlander, Drake Batherson, and for our buddy Jason Robinson, J-Rob.
What a great season he had, huh?
Oh, for real. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so let's see here. The defense mechanisms are 1 out of 13 in the hobby box, and it's a 30 card set. So if you're going for a specific player, but that's a great looking card. Yeah, those are way better than I thought they looked. So,
dude,
very cool.
I'm really happy. Okay, look at that.
Tim, you always do well on your pack breaks on this show, man. You always crush it. Nice job.
If it's not on the show, I have horrible luck. That's why I don't bust any boxes or do any packs. So if I'm ever doing packs, it's on your podcast. Yeah, and you have
there we go. Perfect. Okay, so real quick, before you open Final Fantasy, can you hold that up? I can't remember what release because they have names for all the releases. So this is Final Fantasy. What does it say on the bottom there?
On the bottom, it says Rebellion's Call.
Okay, and that might be the newest release.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, very cool. And then for people that don't know, Final Fantasy, there is 1 foil card in every pack. So the foils are what you're chasing, and like the ultimate chase card is a full art foil. That's a foil card that's got no. If you're familiar with Pokemon, right, Tim? It's got no no boxes around the text.
No border.
Yeah, exactly. So, but the art on those cards is awesome. So,
yeah.
I don't know a lot of these characters, so good luck. You might want to look at them before, because again, I don't know some of these characters. I just know the 7 characters.
So we have Time Mage.
Okay.
We have. I'm gonna butcher all these Mots.
I think that's right.
Okay. Andoria.
Oh, that's a neat picture. Nice.
Mm-hmm. We have Monk.
And these are all Final Fantasy 1 or 2 or 3 characters, I believe, like some of those more characterized ones.
We have King.
Yep.
Mystic Knights.
Oh, wow. These are a lot of early Final Fantasy characters.
Dragoon.
Nice.
This is a pretty nice looking card. My goodness.
Oh, he's got to the foil.
Minwoo.
And that is a foil, right?
Yeah, it is a foil.
That's the character on the front of the pack, Tim.
Dude, no way.
Yeah, look at that.
Wow.
That's sick.
Okay, I'll take it. All right, and we have over here Verson Reaver.
Yep, don't know who that is.
And Gargas.
That is a strange looking character. And then on the bottom, Tim, on that Gargas, can you look on the very bottom? It should tell you what game it is from.
From what?
So at the very bottom left, it should tell you if it's like Final Fantasy 6, 7, 8, 9, 12, whatever. It'll tell you what specific art or game that is from. I don't know if you can see it down there, but.
So I see All Rights Reserved, illustrated by War of the Versions, Final Fantasy Brave Exodus?
That's yeah, that has to be it. Yep.
Okay.
Cool.
Mm-hmm.
Very cool.
We have Shiva.
Mm-hmm.
And then Gosetsu.
All right. Interesting. Yeah, so your foil card is the guy on the pack there.
Okay. Were you familiar with that character before?
I have no idea who that is. No clue. No clue. But the cards look great, man. I mean, even in scans too, I've had so much fun. You've seen a few of my scans. I mean, the foil, when you're looking at a scan of a card, it's like a static image of that card as opposed to moving it in the light and seeing it reflect and sparkle. So it's a totally different look at a card for sure.
Yep. And I like the quality of the stock that they use too.
It is really nice. I agree. It's very, very nice.
We have Zazin.
The artist must have so much fun, Tim, doing some of these guys.
Absolutely. Rydia.
Okay. Not familiar
Okay.
with that either.
Cardian,
Wow.
another Andoria.
Oh wow, almost in the same spot as the last one.
Mm-hmm. And then we have Seeping Bree.
What the heck? It's
We have
bizarre.
Kenneth. And this foil that I see poking out, it looks beautiful. It reminds me of one of your scans.
Oh, nice. Okay, let's see what you got.
And then we have Mog 13-2. And
Okay.
dude, what? Okay, so it's a repeat, but in foil firm Verson Reaver.
That's great.
Crazy, man. Wow.
And it's
now
like
I
the
see why you
silhouette.
collect it.
Yeah, they definitely have a unique look because there's nothing in any sport that quite matches that, you know?
Nope, not one bit. Not one bit. I like
Awesome.
this one. Adelard. This is a nice looking card.
And imagine that with foil, right? You got that darker background. When you get foil on some of those darker backgrounds, is even more different. So
this one's nice. Luso.
Very cool.
I like the artwork on this one. Legendary Turk.
Yeah, and that's from there you go. There's a Final Fantasy VII one. There we go. I know who the Turks are, so that's familiar territory.
Tifa.
Yep, she's from Final Fantasy VII as well. Very nice.
There we go.
Sweet. Right. What'd you think? What'd you think of your first experience collecting or opening Final Fantasy?
I enjoyed it. If it wasn't for like me having too many different things, and if I was into the Final Fantasy series a little bit more, because that's one that I never really got a chance to play. But again, I love the card stock. I love the way it feels in the hand. Listen, all senses matter. You know, the touch and the feel of a card, it matters. The stock that they use, it matters. I love that Verson Reaver foil. Like, that is an A1 card for me.
Doesn't it give you like Flare vibes too? Because I always thought the silhouette style of that was like Flare-esque, you know, where you have kind of let me go full screen for you here.
It gives me Sparkling Diamond vibes though.
Yeah, that's good comparison. I like it. Great. And the art too, because those cards have obviously the hockey cards are real pictures, right? Any sports cards are real pictures, but that's why like the Fanimations were always so cool to me because it's an artist interpretation. And so with Final Fantasy, you've got art and the art of the card, the design.
Exactly.
See if I can find a picture, a scan of one of those silhouette style cards. But they all just have every type of card, no matter what sport or game it is. They all have their own unique appeal. So this is one that always stood out to me, just because all the colors. You know, I always thought they looked beautiful. And so, yeah, Rob, if you ever watch this, thanks again. Thanks, but don't take too much credit, right? Because you made me spend more money. But yeah, so there's a big appeal for those cards for sure, and I'm sure you can see. I limit myself big time, though. I really limit it to like 3 characters because if I didn't, I'd buy that card that you had, and it would be out of control. So. Your buddy Alex showed up better late than never right before we sign off because I know Jeremy's show starts here in 11 minutes. A lot of people are going to want to watch that. And then, oh yeah, the flow. He's got like glass now almost style hair now going on, man. So we're going to have a ceremony if you ever cut it all off.
I'm getting the haircut later this month, but it's just to shape it up a little bit.
Okay, gotcha. Well, my last question is I think I already asked you this, but you are not going to the National because it's a bit of a trek to get over Chicago for you, right? So you're waiting until Atlantic City next year, I'm assuming?
So I think it's Cleveland next year.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
And I have family in Cleveland. So, well, I have family in Ohio. So me and my dad are trying to schedule some vacation time around the National, head over there with my cousins and just making a vacation out of it. I'll try to go Wednesday through Sunday, catch all 5 days. Very nice. Yeah.
Cool. Well, hopefully we'll be able to meet up at one of those nationals or the expo or something in person. But this year I'll be there from Thursday through Saturday. I wanted to make sure that I didn't go as hard as I did last time because it was exhausting beyond the national, which is like all you did was walk around and look at cards, but you're constantly on, your phone's going off, and you're
Yep.
looking for cards for your friend, you're looking for cards for you, and then this friend's got this guy, and you're texting him or whatever. It's a very all-encompassing experience, but it really takes a lot out of you mentally.
It does.
Right?
It goes by fast.
Oh,
Listen,
dude, it's so
doors
fast.
opening to closing, it goes by so fast. There's not enough time in the day for accomplishing what you want to accomplish.
No, because it's squirrel constantly,
Yeah.
you know, and but I'm so excited just to go and enjoy the friendships, you know. That's my main goal for going this time. I know if I want to walk out of there with a nice card, I can walk out of there with a Griffey. I can walk out of there with a Jefferson, or I don't think there'll be any Flurry or Glass now. If there's a Flurry, it'll be like a, you know, RP or a SP Authentic patch auto, or something, a rookie patch auto, or something super crazy, or a Young Guns exclusive, like something I'm probably not going to be able to afford. But I will definitely leave with some cool stuff or a cool card. And that way I can say that I paid to go there. But it's definitely more for the social side of things. And if I can find a bunch of cool stuff for everyone else, like Kelvin usually does, then I will be just as happy doing that. So, well, cool, dude. Well, I had a lot of fun talking about, again, we hit walls in our PCs, whether it's our main PC or a side PC, or we just lose motivation, or we just are not feeling it. Like you said, peaks and valleys, right, Tim? Peaks and valleys. And we have to find ways to stay motivated and stay happy and excited in this hobby. And your jersey numbered collection that you got going on, which is how big now?
3. I did the count this past weekend. I'm at 315. But
that was more than you thought, because when I originally asked you, like, I don't know, 150.
Yeah. But then I have to remember that numerological, he has like 2,000 plus. So
well, he
collects in a different mode than I do. You know what I mean?
He collects anything serial numbered. Yeah. Again, if you do not follow Tim, you can find him here on Instagram, Red Wings Fan 11. He's, again, it's all about the shine and the jersey numbered, and he also is more than happy to help you out with any questions you have. Tim's been amazing at doing 2 things for me: helping me understand titanium and making me spend money on some sets or PCs that I maybe shouldn't, but always helpful, Tim. And thanks for coming on and chatting for a bit. It was fun, man.
I've enjoyed every second of it. Thank you for having me.
And this is, you're welcome. And this is, he's always motivated. What a beast. I think you and I are lucky. We definitely, he's talking about Alex. Yeah. We definitely are unique in that I don't think we run out of steam. We always find ways to keep the excitement level at a high place. And, I think it's nice to have motivation from a friend on that front. So, anyways, thanks again, man. I hope Jeremy's about to interview the president, CEO of Upper Deck. So I'd head over there and listen to that. I know I'm going to do that. And thanks for hanging out with us. So y'all take care. Tim, thanks again, buddy. Have a good one.
Take care, everyone.